Last winter, my neighbor Harold lost his wife. 1 week later, I saw him shuffling down the street, his head bowed, his hands shoved deep in his pockets. I stopped to ask how he was doing. His answer surprised me. He said, "I thought being alone would break me, but maybe it's teaching me how strong I really am." That conversation stayed with me because so many of us fear living alone after 60, but few realize the strength hidden inside that solitude. It's not easy. No, but it may be your greatest test of strength. In this video, I'll walk you through 7 reasons why facing solitude in old age can build resilience, independence, and a deeper kind of freedom. These aren't theories. They are truths drawn from real lives. Some of them may sting, others may inspire you, but each one carries a lesson about what it truly means to grow old with dignity, even in solitude. Stay with me until the end because the final lesson may be the hardest to accept and the most powerful to live by. And don't forget to subscribe and let me know in the comments what scares you most about living alone after 60. Number 1. Silence becomes your teacher. I'll never forget the first time I stepped into Harold's house after his wife passed. It was spotless, everything neatly in its place, but the silence hit me like a wave. No hum of conversation, no clinking dishes in the sink, not even the faint sound of a TV in the background. Just silence, heavy and unbroken. Harold sat at the kitchen table with a cup of tea that had already gone cold. He said softly, "The quiet is the hardest part." That's the first lesson we face when we begin walking alone in old age. Silence can feel unbearable. It creeps into every corner of the house. You wake up and realize the only sound you hear is your own breathing. You sit down to dinner and notice the absence of clinking silverware across the table. For many, this silence turns into a constant reminder of loss, and with it comes stress, sadness, and even health problems. Doctors say chronic loneliness can raise blood pressure, weaken the immune system, and shorten your life. But here's what I've seen, and what Harold later discovered. Silence doesn't have to be an enemy. It can also be a teacher. It teaches you to hear yourself again after years of listening only to the noise of family, work, and responsibility. In silence, you rediscover your own thoughts. You find clarity about what truly matters, and you may even uncover new strength you never knew you had. The key is learning how to use silence, rather than letting it crush you. Some men create daily rituals, reading the paper aloud, writing in a journal, or taking a quiet walk each morning. Others find comfort in prayer, meditation, or simply sitting with a cup of coffee and allowing their thoughts to settle. These small habits transform silence from punishment into sacred space. Harold eventually told me, "The quiet still hurts, but now it feels like a place where I can think, breathe, and even heal." That's the lesson. Silence will come for all of us, but if you choose to listen closely, it can be more than emptiness. It can be the space where wisdom grows. Number 2. Independence becomes your lifeline. The second lesson of walking alone in old age is realizing just how priceless independence truly is. You often don't see its value until you feel it slipping away. For those past 60, reminders come in the smallest of moments. Struggling to open a jar, feeling unsteady on the stairs, forgetting a task that once felt automatic. When you live with someone, those gaps are often filled quietly, but when you're on your own, every weakness feels larger, every stumble heavier. That's why independence isn't just convenience. It's dignity. It's the freedom to decide when you eat, how you spend your day, and what you do with the hours that belong to you. It may become harder with age, but it's also what keeps your spirit alive. The good news is independence doesn't vanish overnight. You can fight to keep it. Keep your body moving, walk daily, stretch your muscles, and use light weights to maintain strength. Learn the skills you may have left to others before, like cooking simple meals, managing finances, and organizing your medicines. These aren't just chores. They are daily proof that you are still capable. But independence isn't only physical, it's emotional too. Many of us lean on others for reassurance, waiting for someone to tell us we're still needed or still valuable. When you live alone, you must learn to give that reassurance to yourself. It means waking up and setting small goals, even if no one else sees them. It means finding joy in simple victories like finishing a book, repairing a chair, or tending a garden. Emotional independence is what keeps loneliness from swallowing you whole. Independence will always be fragile, but guarding it is one of the most powerful steps you can take when walking alone in old age. Number 3, health struggles build resilience. I remember visiting George after his surgery. He was 72, lying in a hospital bed, staring at the ceiling. The chair beside him was empty. No wife, no children waiting, no familiar hand to squeeze. When I asked how he was feeling, he whispered, "The pain I can handle. What hurts most is realizing there's no one here to take me home." That moment has never left me because health problems in old age are hard enough. But when you face them alone, they feel twice as heavy. A fever lingers longer when no one notices. A dizzy spell feels scarier when you don't have someone to call the doctor. Even forgetting one pill can be dangerous when there's no one around to remind you. Most men are taught to tough it out, to hide weakness, to believe that asking for help makes you less of a man. But the truth is, pride can be deadly. George admitted he had ignored chest pains for weeks because he didn't want to bother anyone. By the time he finally saw a doctor, the damage was worse than it had to be. But here's the lesson. Health struggles, while frightening, can also build resilience if you learn to prepare. Keep your medical information organized and easy to reach. Write down your prescriptions, your doctor's number, and keep them where someone could find them in an emergency. Create routines for your medicine so missing a dose is less likely. Technology can help with simple reminders on a phone or even an emergency alert device. And above all, don't wait for a crisis. Walk every day. Eat balanced meals. Keep regular checkups even when you feel fine. Every step you take before the storm makes the storm easier to endure. George eventually recovered. When I visited him months later, he said something I'll never forget. "I used to think strength meant ignoring pain. Now I know strength means preparing for it. Even if you have to face it alone." That's the lesson. Old age will test your health, but if you prepare and build resilience, those struggles can become the very thing that keeps you alive and standing tall. Number 4, financial security becomes your shield. The fourth lesson of walking alone in old age is this: money matters more than most people admit. It's not about luxury, it's about protection. When you're living alone, money becomes your shield. Many older adults assume their pension, savings, or social security will carry them through. But the truth is, unexpected expenses arrive without warning. A sudden medical bill, a broken furnace, or a leaky roof can drain your account faster than you realize. And when you have no partner to share the load, the full weight rests on your shoulders. Money in old age is not about chasing more. It's about ensuring that you have enough to feel safe, enough to turn on the heat in winter without worrying about the bill, enough to buy medicine when your health demands it, enough to fix what breaks instead of living in fear of the next surprise. That kind of security gives you dignity. It allows you to face each day with peace instead of panic. The people who live most confidently in old age are not always the richest. They are the ones who prepared. They downsized their homes when it made sense, simplified their lives, and tracked every dollar. They avoided the traps, high-interest loans, flashy offers, and unnecessary spending that drained more than they gave. And they kept a cushion aside for healthcare, knowing that illness can be the costliest storm of all. I've seen too many who ignored this lesson, living with constant anxiety, afraid to open their mailbox because of what bills might be waiting. I've also seen people sleep soundly at night because they knew their shield was in place. The difference wasn't luck. It was preparation. Write your age in the comments and add one financial habit you're proud of. You might encourage someone else who needs that reminder today. Because in the end, Money won't buy you happiness, but it will buy you choice, dignity, and freedom. And when you're walking alone after 60, those things are worth more than gold. Number 5. Purpose keeps you alive. I remember visiting Linda, a 70-year-old widow from our community. She sat in her living room surrounded by family photos, yet her eyes looked empty. She said quietly, "I get up in the morning and wonder, why should I even bother getting dressed? No one needs me anymore." That's the silent danger of living alone in old age. It's not just the silence or the health problems, it's the loss of purpose. When children are grown, when a partner is gone, when the daily responsibilities fade, many people feel like their reason for living fades with them. Days blur together. You eat because you must, sleep because you're tired, but there's no spark pushing you forward. And without purpose, decline comes faster, both in body and in spirit, but purpose can be rediscovered. Linda eventually found hers at a local shelter. At first, she only went once a week to help hand out meals. Soon she was talking with people, listening to their stories, and realizing she still had something to give. She told me, "It feels good to wake up knowing someone out there is waiting for me, even if it's just for a smile or a kind word." Purpose doesn't have to be grand. It can be tending a garden, mentoring a younger neighbor, writing letters to grandchildren, or even learning a new skill just to prove you can. What matters is that it gives your life direction. With purpose, mornings feel lighter and nights feel less empty. I've seen people who once thought their best years were behind them come alive again, simply because they found a new role to play. Purpose is fuel. It keeps the heart strong and the mind alert. Without it, you drift. With it, you thrive. Linda once told me, "I thought my story ended when my husband died, but maybe this is a new chapter." She was right. That's the lesson. Living alone can steal your purpose, but it can also challenge you to find a new one. And that search may be what keeps you alive. Number 6, connection becomes a choice. The sixth lesson of walking alone in old age is understanding that connection is no longer a need. It becomes a choice when you're younger or when you live with someone. Conversations happen because they're right there. Meals are shared because it's expected. Visits and gatherings are part of the daily rhythm. But when you live alone, every call, every handshake, every meeting is intentional. That can feel frightening at first, almost like isolation. Yet, with time, it can become one of the greatest freedoms you'll ever know. People who learn this lesson stop chasing noise. They no longer feel pressured to fill every moment with people or to please everyone just to avoid being alone. Instead, they choose carefully. They discover that one genuine friendship brings more comfort than 10 shallow ones. They learn to let go of relationships that drain them, and they hold tightly to the ones that lift them up. I've seen older adults gather once a week at a coffee shop, not because they couldn't bear the silence at home, but because they truly wanted to share stories, laugh, and feel understood. That difference, choosing connection instead of clinging to it, showed in their faces. They carried less bitterness, more peace. If you're living alone after 60, remember this. You don't need a crowd to feel whole. You only need to keep the right people close. That might mean an old friend you still trust, a neighbor who checks in, or a small group that brings you joy. Here's a small action you can take right now. Think of one person who makes your life lighter, not heavier. Drop their first name in the comments below as a reminder. This is someone worth keeping close. Because the beauty of walking alone is this: you no longer connect from need or fear, you connect from freedom. And in that freedom, relationships feel more real, more honest, and far more meaningful. Number 7, solitude can lead to true freedom. I once sat with Frank, a 75-year-old man who had lived alone for nearly a decade. He stirred his coffee slowly and said, "Loneliness nearly killed me, but it also saved me." At first, after his wife died, Frank shut himself in. He stopped answering the phone, stopped eating well, and stopped caring. Loneliness crushed him. For months, he admitted. He thought about giving up, but one morning he realized the harshest truth. No one was coming to rescue him. If he wanted to live, he had to learn to live with himself first. So he started small, a 10-minute walk each day, cooking a hot meal even if only for one, writing a single line in a journal before bed. Over time, what once felt like a curse began to feel like freedom. I thought I was weak, he told me, but now I see that choosing to walk alone has made me stronger than I ever imagined. That's the final lesson. Loneliness will come for you, but it doesn't have to break you. It can remake you. When you learn to stand without leaning on approval, when you discover that your worth doesn't depend on who's sitting across the table, you become free in a way that cannot be taken from you. The freedom of walking alone is not cold or empty. It's full of clarity. You choose how to spend your time. You choose the people who matter. You choose to wake up and keep living, not because someone tells you to, but because you've decided your life is still worth living. Frank leaned back in his chair and smiled. I used to hate the silence, he said. Now it feels like proof that I survived. That's the power of walking alone. It may be the hardest road, but it can also lead to the deepest kind of freedom, freedom that no one can take away. Final thoughts. We've uncovered 7 lessons that reveal why walking alone in old age may be your greatest test of strength. The silence that once felt unbearable can become your teacher. Independence, though fragile, brings freedom. Health struggles can build resilience if you prepare. Money, when managed wisely, becomes your shield. Purpose, even in solitude, keeps you alive. Connection becomes something you choose, not something you need. And finally, loneliness itself, if faced with courage, can remake you into someone stronger, wiser, and freer. These are not easy truths. They carry weight and sometimes they sting, but they also carry hope. Because living alone after 60 does not mean you are finished. It means the journey has changed. It means you have a new chance to stand on your own, to find strength you didn't know you had, and to walk with dignity no matter the road ahead. So take these lessons with you. Let them remind you that solitude can be more than emptiness. It can be power. Walking alone may not be what you hoped for, but it can become your greatest test of strength. If this message spoke to you, subscribe, share this video, and tell me in the comments which lesson touched your heart the most. Remember, you may walk alone, but you are not forgotten.